Ricardo, thank you so much for coming on the Winners Paradigm podcast, brother. It's been an honor because me and you've connected a while ago on Instagram, and then really we're able to figure out some time. So first off, thank you for finding time in your busy schedule, and two, brother, thank you again. For all the work that you do. Um, really love that from you. Like before we started, is hey, we're both consistent, we're both seeing what we're doing. We're like, man, we got to connect, we got to be a part of it. So thank you, brother. Would you mind giving us a brief intro? Who you are, what you're passionate about today.
Yeah. Hey, man. Thank you, Big Al. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on. I've been watching you on Instagram as well. And it's, sometimes when you just see someone doing stuff and, you look up to them because you're like, damn, this guy's showing up videos of him working out and just, showing up. And I was like, all right, I resonate with him. But yeah, my name is Ricardo. I'm from Orange County, first generation Mexican American. I own a barbershop business and I'm into personal development. But I think if I didn't have one or the other, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. So being a business owner, being into personal development has tied together, and I'm here to share that now. So, let's go, bro.
Boom. I love that so much, brother. And it's funny. It's funny because I find it's the same shit, especially with
Mm-hmm.
self-development. It's like we ask people these things about, hey, what worked for you? What triggered? And it's all the
Right.
same things. And it's funny, it's like it's just different ways that we're saying things since the beginning of time. But it was funny because literally last night, I was talking about the same thing. I did a live like at midnight, and I was talking about the same thing, like, we have to suffer in order to get better. And then you're saying it in a different sense of, hey, first generation, and hey, this is what we're doing to be better. So that's what I thought was funny, is like
Yeah.
that alignment, bro. When you work on yourself, you attract different type of people. For you, man, how
Yeah.
important is it, to attract the right people by developing yourself first?
Yeah, man, I think it's critical, man. Especially right now, we need more leaders. We need more leaders. We need to show up the people that we want to be around. I think that was one of my biggest takeaways as being a business owner was if I show up showing weakness or showing that I don't know how to lead a team, then these guys aren't going to want to work with me. So I found I found mentoring, I found coaching.
Mhm.
I found it was hard to let go at the beginning, but man, it's critical being around the people, man. Finding people and just being around people that think like you, that are going to listen to your goals or just resonate with you with what you do day in and day out. Man, absolutely critical in anything you do, man. It doesn't matter what industry. It's going to be critical, man.
Again, crazy that you're saying that, because that was something I was talking about yesterday, where I was
Yeah.
like, it takes a special individual, and kind of like what I want to talk about today. It takes a special individual to one understand it, but two to act upon it. In three, we can say is like
Right.
it stems for a reason. Like you just
Right.
don't be better because you want to be better. You be better
Yeah.
because whatever pain point that is killing you, and then you're like, hey,
Right.
I need to do these things so I can be that better version. And like you said, it you have to be around the people who want it and so forth. So it's something funny for me because I was literally talking to my wife yesterday about a
Yeah.
wedding we're going to, and then she's like, "Oh, we're gonna stay at Airbnb." I'm like, "No, I want to stay at a hotel." And she's just like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because I want the gym right there." And for me, it was just like, "Hey, that's what's easier for me.
That's
I
what's
get it
up.
in regardless of where I'm at, regardless of circumstance." First she's like, "I'm a little irritated with you," and then second, it was like, "Hey, that's what it is." And I was like, "Hey, regardless, I work out every fucking day. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care who's around. That's what works for me. That's what I do."
That's
And two, it's powerful. It's like when you build that foundation, and that's one thing I'm always harping on with people. It's like figure out what that perfect day is, figure out that foundation of how you need to show up, and
yeah.
then life changes. So for you, brother, when we're talking about foundation, we're talking about you being dialed in, being the best Ricardo you can be, so your business is excelling. Where
Yeah.
do you start when it comes to the foundation? Where do you start when it comes to showing up every single day, brother?
Man, just like you right now, what you were saying, it's pretty much what people call it non-negotiables or your core values, or from multiple coaching. I got coaching from different people, and one of them calls it code of honor, and it's just easier to make decisions, easier to make decisions for yourself, for your family, for your business. And yeah, man, you gotta have that. You gotta have non-negotiables, just like you, man. And what makes me like show up the best is when my morning is dialed in, man. Like that's absolutely important and critical to, and like I'll share this before I dive into what I do, but I just hear it everywhere and it's working for people. It's like, do what works. And like
Facts.
I already had multiple high performance people tell me they do almost similar, all the same stuff is wake up, you know, one of them, if you know Miracle Morning, the book, it's called Savers Morning.
Mhm.
And if you just have a moment of gratitude, is a meditation, working out, breathe, um, journal, all those things people talk about all the time. And I'm like, dang, okay, well, let me start doing that stuff, man. And I've been doing it without knowing for the last few years. But recently I've been really like, man, I'm really into this. This is what I like. This is what works for me. So, waking up with a gratitude mind, man. I have something called gratitude attitude where, it starts with gratitude, man. It can be going like a crappy day, but just have a moment of gratitude and man, your whole perspective is going to change, man. So, what about you? What do you think of that, man?
Oh, I love that. I love the way that you said that the code of honor, because that's something I've been leaning into lately when it comes to core values. Don't want to jump into something, but open a can of worms. But I ran into a situation like that where I went to the code of honor. For me, I decided to act up on something where
Yeah,
basically what happened is they invited an individual. I was like, hey, don't fucking invite this person. They're a weirdo. This is where code of honor comes in. This was last year. So I
yeah,
told them not to invite somebody specifically, or else I'm going to act a certain way. I think that's where I should have drew the line and went to the code of honor of, hey, this is
right.
how we show up, regardless of circumstance. So it happened. Motherfucker was there. He tried to grab me. I was like, don't fucking touch me. I
Oh,
don't,
snap.
I don't fuck with you. That's where the issue was. Is I could easily just be like, hey man, what's up? That I could have killed it. But for
Yeah,
me, it was more important to show up and show exactly who I am within the moment, which I
yeah,
understand, is right and is not right.
yeah,
Um, so it was funny that you mentioned that because that was something for me where it was like tough decision. I decided to act on it, made people
right,
look bad. I didn't really give a fuck because I was like, hey, for me, I'm standing on my core
right.
values, what's important to me. But at the same time, it's like, two, we don't just hang out with anybody, and that's another
Yeah,
thing is
man.
like we're talking about, being around the driven individuals. We
Yeah,
can't be around anybody, brother. Like there's some people who get fucking um anxiety just being around us because we're boom, 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 making shit happen to where
yeah,
like they don't know. Like I literally was watching a video yesterday and somebody was like, oh, I'm 22, I'm 23. I don't know what the fuck to do with my life. I'm just all my head in the clouds. And I'm laughing because I'm like, I didn't have that. Like for me to say that I didn't know what to do was funny because everybody looked at me like, oh, you got this master plan, you know exactly what to do. Even growing up, Mijo, oh, you're different than us. You're not like us. Like my family treated me a certain way. So it was
yeah,
funny kind of that scenario, and then seeing that video the other day where like it clicked in me. It was like, hey, we're called to do something more for a reason, but two, a lot of times like we look at it as this negative thing to where it's like, oh, that's the positive. Like the positive is, hey, we're called to I was drinking a gallon of whiskey. We're called to not be drinking anymore. We're called
right.
to stop going to the carne asadas. We're called
Yeah,
to stop doing all the bullshit because it leads us to where we don't want to be, regardless of what we think. It's like, no, you see what works, just like you said, you see what works. Why are we going to deviate from that?
yeah,
Um,
man.
I think that's the powerful part right
I,
there, bro.
I totally agree, man. Like it's hard to say no sometimes, man. Like I think that was the hardest thing for me is starting to say no to certain things, or just like finding a way where like I would get invited somewhere and it's like, oh man, I got this other thing I got to do. I got my priorities, or it's just a non-negotiable. If it's gonna work, aligning with what you want, then man, things are gonna start aligning for you.
Well, yeah, brother. That was something for me, where same deal. When I first started, it'd be like my wife's family coming over. And they're like, oh, do you want to stay up watch movies? I'm like, nah, it's like 10:30, 11. I'm waking up at 3 to go to the gym. Right now I switched it because she leaves fucking at 4. And if not, it means I got to be up at 2, which I don't fucking sleep. So bringing
Damn.
bigger issues and went into taking care of myself.
Right.
And it was funny because like when I changed it for myself, especially when I stopped drinking, like people didn't understand that because again, that was my whole personality was being the fucking partier, being
Right.
crazy, and I fucking hated it. That first year and a half, bro, I fucking hated life just because it was like every single fucking room was like, hey, this is who you used to be. Used to be the drinker. You used to fucking come in here. What's up, motherfuckers? And then just like
Yeah.
peer pressuring the fuck out of people and be like, if you're gonna
Right.
fucking drink, drink then. And then it was funny, it's like I didn't do those things, and everybody thought that I would. And that's what they would do. It's like, oh, you really don't want to be here right now. And I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? I don't want to be here right now. It's like, well, you'd rather be drunk. And it was like, fuck, that's really the perception that I gave off to the world,
Right,
which made
man.
me hate myself even more at that moment because I was just like, I can't stand everybody looking at me as what I'm not, you know. So I love that you kind of said that. Certain people don't get that, you know, especially until like
Yeah.
it clicks when things get fucking deep.
Bro, that's powerful, man. Like, everyone has a certain relationship with alcohol, man. Because I just stopped drinking too recently, so
Oh yeah.
it's been on and off like for almost more than a year now. So yeah, man, like you're just known as a drinker. It's like that's what we put off, and now you're gonna put off the best self for you, man. And like if people need to accept it, and then obviously what's more important is what you care. You got to love yourself first, and your first your family, your kids, your girl, whichever, and I think that's more important than the other people, what they think of what you used to be. Hopefully they understand. It's like, hey man, I stopped drinking a few months ago. It is what it is. It gets awkward because like everyone's drinking. It's like you're not drinking. It's like you're more aware of everything and they're not. It's like they even start getting sloppy. You start seeing it. You're like, oh, they say something. You just can't take it to heart because you're like, damn, they're drunk. Like, it's just not. It just doesn't work sometimes. It's just how it is, man. That's what I noticed.
No, I'd say the same. You know, I talked about that. I was at Disneyland the other day, and this fucking girl was like, "Hey, fool, let's get a Modelo. I'm trying to keep this shit hanging, trying to keep it cruising through the whole day, keep the fade." And like I listened to it, and I was like, "Bro, I sound so fucking stupid when I used to say that." And then like I was thinking about just even like justifying partying because I seen something that was like, "We're young, we just want to party," and it's like
Right, right.
I watched this video on that, and then I thought about myself, and I'm like, "Bro, we would justify it," but two, it's like it's ignorant a little bit because you understand what you're fucking doing. It's just like when I actually got into it with one of my buddies the other day because we were talking about clarity when it comes to like our parents. And
Yeah,
they were like, oh, well, excuse me. So we're in a cigar lounge. One older man intervenes and he's talking about how your parents give what they didn't have. And then my point is like, yeah, I get that. But if you have the clarity to understand what the problem is and you're not doing anything to solve the problem, then you're the fucking issue. And then
right.
they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how could I sit here and how could I say that, hey, this is how I was raised and this is the issue, and then repeat the same shit that I did? It's like, then I'm the problem. For me, I had to stop doing the same thing. And like you said, drinking, it's like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I like to go fucking balls to the walls all the fucking time. I can't have just one or two drinks, but it's like the fact is like people want to argue that is, hey, oh, I can have my drink, I can have this or that. And it's like, are you checking all the other boxes in your
Yeah,
life? Are you the best you can be in every other area? Probably not. And they're going to argue with you and argue with you. But
yeah.
why are they arguing with you? Because they know deep down that you're right a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's a good way to think about it and a good perception. And I think some other people don't understand it yet until they accept it. Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, when did you start drinking? At what age? Me like ninth grade with family, ninth grade, all the way up to I'm 32 now. I think the last drink I had was at my grandma's birthday last year, like summertime.
Mhm.
And bro, like I had not stopped drinking for more than a year in any of that moment
So,
where like I've gotten blacked out drunk before, where like it was dangerous to the point where I got a DUI when I was 19. So my relationship with alcohol hasn't been the best, man. So, and plus, yeah, your parents thing, like I'm not gonna blame my parents. So now I have the choices that I'm in America, man, the fucking land of opportunity, in my opinion. Because in Mexico, where my parents are from, is a bunch of farms. It's like it's not much going on. The economy, you can make your way, but here is the opportunity. But for sure, it's what you think of it. It's how you see it, and if you accept it. I think I was an alcoholic. I guess you're an alcoholic when you just don't stop drinking for that long. Even if you just have 2 or 3. It's like, well, why did you still have that if you're not an alcoholic then? So that's how I see it, man. You know, it's alcohol's like, what is it like? People gonna drink, man. So
Yeah.
you're gonna find your circle, and that's what's gonna matter.
Again, bro, love where you're coming from there. Definitely love the way you said, your parents come from Mexico because my mom's parents from Guanajuato. And it's
Okay.
funny because it's just like that was one of the things for me. I stopped drinking. And then when I assessed everything when it comes to the whole family, it's like everybody's always fucking shit faced. They look like shit.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be like these fuckers, honestly. Not that I don't love them, like, oh, I love them enough to say that
Right.
that's not what I
Right. Yeah.
want in life because it didn't lead me to good things. I'm blacking out, fighting, fucking acting
Right.
stupid all the time, fucking doing dumb shit. It was just like, hey, that's not the life for me. And then two, you said the same thing. It was like they lived in Mexico a certain way. Then we come over here. That was kind of something for me where it's like my family cooks differently. Not
Yeah.
the best Mexican food versus like some other parts of Mexico.
Right.
And then also the way that we lived was like my grandpa had fucking 11 kids. So the house isn't always going to be clean. It's going to look a certain way. And
Yeah,
like, I was
man.
like remembering that as like, well, maybe they carried some shit from Mexico of like how life is, how they acted to where that's the way we currently live. And it's the same shit over and over and over again. It's like when you go to the deep root problem, it's like everybody was running from that. Like my mom would always say, oh, we're more Americanized. We don't eat the same things that we eat at grandma's house. And it's like we go to my abuelita's house and then we're eating all this stuff, and it was funny because it's like, hey, in her case, she probably was like, she didn't like that. So she lived a different way. And then it came to me, and now I have to break that again, different type of generational curse.
Yeah.
But it was funny because it's like I stopped drinking. I realized that. I realized where my family was, my wife, because her family is completely different, even though they're from like Mexicali,
Yeah.
TJ, different, further down. So it was funny for me because it was like, again, it's like, hey, family came here for a fucking reason, and then we're gonna sit here, look fat as fuck, be drunk all the fucking time, piss this opportunity away. Where it's like, nah, bro, like the reason why we have that clarity to just even comprehend where we're at is because there's something bigger for us. And then we can also teach people on that. So do love that point that you brought up there, bro.
No, yeah, man. I think it's important, man. And I think it's just, we need guidance, man. And that's why I think coaching is important for many people, especially like even the younger kids from 18 to 24. I think that moment, that age gap, they need guidance.
Yeah,
They need
100%.
somebody to tell them the truth. They need someone to be hard on them and tell them what they don't want to hear, and then hopefully, for the right ones that are looking for help, I think coaching for us, I think we can probably help them more. Wait, how old are you, Al?
25 or
25?
26. Fuck.
Okay, so you can start like, pretty much helping the youth because you have that experience. What do you think about coaching, man? What's your thoughts on that? Because I just got into it probably like three. Oh wait, 2024. I think 2020 is when I like seeked mentorship when the pandemic happened. I was like, I need help, man. I can't do this on my own. I can't learn on YouTube by myself, man. What's your thoughts on
No,
that?
dude, fucking powerful. I mean, you're a barber, so that hits home to me because my best friend in high school, I would bum it off his couch, live there. I never want to be home, so I'd go home, do my chores, go live at his house. He's a barber, dude.
For
I used to
sure.
collect clients for him, pounding out through the door. Fucking this fool's cutting hair till 2 in the morning on a school night. Like,
Oh
homie was
snap!
just
That's
hustling,
up.
and then he would help me out. Oh, you need food, you need whatever. Still to this day, that's my kid's Nino. Um, that shit was cool.
Yeah.
I love the potential there. The reason why is like it's a great fucking field, and that was something I told my boy. It was like, hey, if you could teach people that, like, you don't need to go to college. You can focus on starting your own business, being a barber,
Yeah.
either going the two different routes of how you can do it, and then kind of teaching that was something that I was like, that's pretty fucking cool, especially for me because I felt like the only way that I can get away was to go to the military, and it worked out,
Right.
especially for my personality type. But it's not going to be like that for everybody,
Yeah,
And
man. For
two,
sure.
as I've kind of got into this coaching thing, um, I didn't want to, honestly. I didn't want to jump into coaching because of all the other reasons and the shit I needed to work on. So again, it
Yeah.
goes back to that live that I did last night. It was funny because I was doing this podcast. I was working with one of the biggest podcasters out there
Oh,
for
really?
about a year, almost 2 years. And it was funny because it was like, what the people I attracted are the people I didn't want. First, I wanted to establish business owners who are six-figure entrepreneurs and talking this or that. And then here comes me talking about my fucking story and talking about how I grew up and the way I'm perceiving things. And I'm not attracted to people I wanted. The people I'm attracting are the ones who are like, I want to talk about my story too. I ran away from that. I was like, nah, fuck that. I don't want to talk to these people because
Oh,
it's
right, right,
frustrating. Especially we're talking about earlier. Like you have to accept that you're an alcoholic. It takes a level of maturity to fucking
right.
understand where you're at, what you need
That's
to work
true.
on. I wasn't attracting the right people. So it was funny because literally in that live last night, I was talking about like, I want to just throw it away. Honestly, I was like, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore. Cause you have those clients that are just stubborn as hell, saying the same shit for the 10th time on the same call. And it's like, you got to have that capacity to one, deal with it, but two,
Yeah,
understand how we can help them. And then three, we talked about the multiple times this episode is like, you have to have that awareness that we too were on that level. So
yeah,
that's where I
man.
kind of felt, as I went to that mastermind, like I was telling you in Santa Barbara, one of the things they told me is like, you need to give more love. You need to focus more energy on that because for me, it's like I have the tools, I have everything I do love, but that's where I would get irritated with people. Is like, how the fuck do you not get it? Are you stupid? And it's like, that's going to work for some people, but not all
Yeah,
people. And that made me reflect even more. And when I went down to that root problem, it was like, well, that's why I didn't want to fucking coach at the beginning because I knew there's going to be that same dickhead like me who's just super stubborn. I don't fucking need your advice. And then it's like, well, why
yeah.
the fuck are you coming to me then? And that was kind of something funny where it was like, hey, for me, I was in my own way, which made me see how other people are in their own way as well.
Yeah, my coach says this, man. I think this will really ties into what you're saying is if you want to teach at a deeper level, you have to study at a deeper level. So you have to learn at a deeper level too. As a coach, you got to show up, and then it doesn't stop. If we're coaches, it don't matter. We have to continue developing extra, even more than our clients. We got to know how to deliver these moments of depression, anxiety that they share with you. It's a deep root into what's something that happened behind what's called victim mentality. They got a victim mentality, and you got to get them out of that zone. And it's very difficult to get out of that zone until they know. And a lot of times, everyone has their own answers for themselves. I had the own answers. I was a victim. Even sometimes I find myself in a red zone, which I call the victim mentality, because let's just say I do something new. I think I did a podcast. I was doing it by myself first, and then I got some invites. And
Okay.
at first, I was tripping. I was like, "Dang, dude, this is like, that's when you're doing something new, you start tripping, no matter what. It can be anything like, I don't know, jujitsu, or like I hired a financial advisor. I'm in the red zone, bro. I call the red zone because I'm new, so I don't know until I start seeking for help, and I'm like, all right, I understand it now a little bit. Oh, I'm over here now. Okay, cool. I feel good about it. I've been doing this 10th time I do this. So that's what happens with a lot of the coaching is like we have to show up the best, even though we need coaching too. We need coaching, bro. So that's good. I'm glad that you went to another mastermind because you never stop, man. You just got to continue going, bro. Keep pounding out them, reading, studying, and then see how you can help them out, because man, there's certain age gap where they're, I don't know, you gotta find a way to get through them.
Yeah, 100%. I got a couple clients that are like in their 50s.
Oh, what?
And it's different the way I would talk. And it's funny, it's like that's the way they liked me is because I do come off hard sometimes. I'm like, hey, bro, what the
Yeah.
fuck you doing? But two, I learned like even with them, it's not the same approach. And the way that
Right.
they've already are set in their ways, is they're fucking
Oh
set. So
yeah.
one of them, he hates social media. Just because all the
Yeah.
negativity and like don't focus your energy on that. And he's doing better, but that's why I say like the 10th call, motherfucker cuts on fucking hate social media. And then I de-escalate the situation. And in my head, I'm like, bro, we've already fucking talked about this. But I too was there. You know what I mean? I would do it in a different
Yeah.
form. I would act a certain way. I notice now I'm kind of the same way. And that's why I said it was funny at that mastermind where like you need to give more love just because I'm type A personality. So if I notice somebody's type B personality, my mind
Yeah.
automatically sifts them to the back of the room. And then I focus on the type A's because I
Right.
noticed that the type B's, I can get them discouraged in a heartbeat because for me,
Right.
it's go, 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 go. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's time to reflect and understand that, hey, you can be better on that. Yeah, there's different ways you can flex on people, you can do whatever, but not in
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
situations. And two, it's not like that's not the way we want to go about life. So That
Yeah.
was something for me as well, where it's like, yeah, we're continually adding to the repertoire. We're getting better and better and better. We're focusing that energy. But two, it's like we got to be right there. And that's kind of what I was feeling the other day.
Yeah,
Because
man.
I was I was thinking about shit as well. Like you said, you're in that red zone. For me, it was just like, what happens if I just don't do this? Like if I can do anything I wanted, what if it wasn't this? And it was funny because I was like, maybe this podcast isn't something. And I would always talk about how much I fucking love my podcast
Yeah.
or whatever. And really what it went down to was just alignment. It's like, hey, I fucked up, and this is where people are like, oh, you're so good at conversing with people, making a conversation, doing this or that. I'm like, yeah, because there's so many episodes that I had that I wanted to delete because I didn't have the right
Yeah.
people. I had the person who I didn't listen to well enough, or maybe I did listen to them, but our personalities don't mix. They're a little more
Yeah.
soft spoken. They come from a different background. They're more on the business side versus talking about self development and the
Yeah. Yeah.
personal stories as well. So I learned that for myself because I was releasing good content that I fucking loved. And then it came to a
Yeah.
point where I was like, bro, I fucking hate this right now. But I shared it because one, you have to share everything. And two, it was
Yeah.
like, I brought them up strategically. And that's why I said the other day, where I was like, do I really want to keep fucking doing this? It's not that I didn't want to do it. It's just I was out of alignment. I
Yeah.
invited people on. They asked to come on. And I knew kind of we weren't the same strengths, but I told myself that, hey, I'm going to do this to make myself better. But to me, wasn't my par when it came to the conversation, wasn't mine to where, they were going deep on a surface level. I asked questions to kind of get them to go deeper, deeper, and they didn't want to do it. So it was funny. It's like, again, it goes back to that alignment. We got to be around the right people. We got to be
Yeah.
doing the right things. And then I went back to my core mission. Like my core mission is to help that man who's on his knees begging God for shit to change because he fucked his marriage up. He fucked his life up. He's repeating the generational trauma. He's pissing his opportunity away. He's understanding that he has the clarity, but he's not taking action, and that's why like people say the affirmations, um, the fucking I'm grateful for this or that. Like, yeah, I'm immensely grateful. Like you said, we have that gratitude hour in the morning. We sit there, we think about how grateful we are. But for me, I can't be grateful unless I do take action on shit. Because I just
Yeah.
realized that is like I could sit here all day. I could say I'm grateful. I could say I love life, but
Yeah.
really you don't love life until you start putting that effort in your macros on what you're doing right.
Right. Right. Right.
Making sure you look good, you making sure that you show up and be the best you can be. And I bet you can attest to that too, brother. It's like that's when
Yeah.
you realize that you actually do love life is when you're actually all fucking in, and then you're focusing all that energy on the small little components that you're doing every day.
Yeah, man. I think it's important to share what you're going through because people resonate with that. You got to show the pain, man. You can't show all the wins, right? You got to show a little bit of the pain, and small wins, man. I have a coach. His name is Blair Singer, and he has something called Little Voice Mastery, and it's something that all of us have. It's all of us have a little voice. I have it sometimes where I would say, just like you said, I want to delete that episode, man. It's like, nah, you know what? Just leave it. Just go run it. And everybody's battling with that, man. And that's why he calls it little voice mastery, because it's like you're not going to eliminate that voice. It's always going to be there. It's just if you want to learn how to master it. And I want to tell you one way to do it is by celebrating your wins. Like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, bro. Like I won. Like I got on a podcast with Big Al. That's a big win. At 6 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like we're doing it. That's a win. Or like, hey, I did 50 push-ups before starting. That's a win. So like I think celebrating the little wins is just as important as celebrating the big wins. But that's what's gonna help you gain momentum throughout the day. So, I over this years of coaching, I just met more and more and more people, and it's now I just want to share it. I'm like, hey, man, we're all going to battle with our little voice. We all going to have to find a way to make ourselves feel good, because there's no damn way that you're going to feel good 365 days of the year. That's a lie, because all of us have a down day. You know what I mean? We all have down days. So that's what it is, man.
Well, you know what? I love that. That's something I was kind of thinking about the other day about the rolling average, to where it's like excuse me, Frank. I had to train myself to start focusing on all the days versus the one good day. It's where it's like you
Right.
look at yourself, especially when you're tracking everything you're doing, and then you're like, "Fuck, dude, I had this spike here where I feel motivated, I feel good, I'm sharing it, I'm posting the client wins, and nothing gonna stop me." then it hits that point where you're like, bro, do I really want to fucking do this? Whatever, I had that happen where someone
It does.
hit me up and they're like, I love your content. I would love for you to come to Hawaii and speak with at my gym.
Oh
And I got
damn.
all happy. I'm like, fuck yeah. And then like I talked about it so much that I went around the situation and didn't even figure out the logistics of how the fuck I'm gonna get there, what it's gonna
Right.
look like. And now I am doing that. So it's funny because it's like again, goes to that. Yeah, I'm grateful, but I wasn't taking action. I'm over here talking and
Yeah.
I'm like, this, that, the other. It could easily fall through if I don't put that on timeline on that. I don't figure out, hey, how do we actually make this feasible? How do we actually
Yeah.
bring this to light? Because it's easy to talk about the win, talk about, oh, this is what happened,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then be stuck in that. But also at the two, high, low, lows. So where it's like, yeah, this feels like the
Right.
greatest feeling ever. I just noticed for myself, it's like, even if I do feel like it's the greatest thing ever, again, we talked about this multiple times, that foundation of what you go back to, hey, this
Yeah.
is what it is. Just because I feel super great today, I'm not going to sabotage that by just eating pizza, unless it's my one scheduled meal that's going to help
Yeah.
me on the gains. I got to focus on, hey, how do I be the best I can be today, regardless, even if it is a good day. And I think that's another powerful point is like people don't understand that. They think like, oh, I can have what I want, whatever my vice is, because I've been
Yeah.
doing so well. And it's like, yeah, you can, but if you don't fucking be careful right there, you could either overindulge or again, you're redoing all that progress. You're eating fucking like shit just because you think that you did it. Oh, it's just this
Yeah.
day. It's my birthday. I'm gonna do this. It's like, no, now you're just making fucking excuses about what day it is and why you're acting a certain way.
Yeah, man. 100%, man. You gotta like they're non-negotiables, man. You gotta run with them. Like there's no like halfway through. Like either you're that type of person or you're not. Like, you know, I mean, it's like taking action is absolutely important. It's like when someone, at a coaching group, let's go back to that, just an example, because that's how I see it. But letting go of something, letting go of the type of money that you have to pay to be in these rooms. It's like a cult, honestly. Like they won't let you in unless you pay. And that's when you unleash all the stuff like, oh, damn, these people are hella helpful, but I had to let go of something to get in this room. That's action. Action is when you show up every single day, bro, no matter what. Even if and I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm more like an action taker. Like, hey, man, like say no a little more to the pizza, say no to the fries. Hey, you want to eat a burger? Just do protein style, bro. Like, you don't gotta eat the fucking bread all the time. Like these high performance people say don't eat bread, and I tell that to a lot of my clients. Like, hey, man, like I heard don't eat bread, and they're like, no, bro, you can't do that. I can't stop eating bread. I'm like, yeah, you can. It's just if you want to. It's just if you don't want to, it works for you. All right, fine. It's just a conversation. I'm not I'm not gonna tell you what to do, what not to do if you don't want to. So it's I don't know. That's how I see it. I stopped eating bread because one of my coaches said, hey, don't eat bread. You don't need that. I'm like, damn, I can't eat bread. All right. And I still have bread like maybe once every other week. And for me, that works.
Ooh, I love that. I was on the same thing for a while where I stopped eating the bread because I heard that. But for me, I found like a 40 calorie per slice one that's like 2.5 grams of protein per slice.
Yeah.
So, and also you got to go with the
Oh,
goal.
okay, for sure.
So for me, before last year, before I did the 10-day fast, I was on fucking 100 grams of carbs, which I felt fucking depleted because I like to lift fucking heavyweight. You know what I mean?
For
Especially
sure.
working
Yeah.
back from injuries and being strategic. That was not fucking strategic. So 100 grams of carbs fucking killed me. And then it went to
Yeah.
this year. I went back to eating after that 10-day fast, put on a little bit of fat because it instantly went back on. I could have waited the 2 days and fucking up my
Damn.
carbs slowly, but like, no, it's not gonna fucking happen, dude. I have places to be, things to see, and working out
Yeah.
was one of them, So it was funny because it's like I had to learn that with myself, where it's like I had to change that picture of what I could do. Yeah, bread might not be the best thing, but I can look at what's in it. I can look at if it's
Yeah.
not as processed. I can show up this. For me, it was getting those carbs up. Initially, it was rough to
Yeah.
do that. Kind of like last night, I ran into an issue with my wife where it was like, I don't have that much protein right now. So I'm waiting for this protein to come in. And I'm like, dude, it is fucking tricky to be able to get the protein in if you're not eating within specific time requirements.
Yeah.
For me, fucking I have bigger meals because I throw up in the morning. I'm feeling like shit. I have migraines a lot of times in the morning, so it's hard for me to do. So if I did show my food log, and sometimes I do show it, it's like I will eat 15 ounces of chicken at one time. Make sure it's under 100 grams of protein. That way I can
Yeah.
metabolize it. But it differs, So for me, it was like I up the carbs up. I start looking better, even on a cut.
Oh,
I start
cool.
feeling better. That was something I needed to do for myself before I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from all this. I'm not gonna eat all this. My results fucking sucked for a little bit because I wasn't doing what was right for me. And then
Yeah.
also, taking in the bad information from other people of like, hey, this is what worked for them, blah, blah, blah. So I love that you
Yeah.
shared that because sometimes people do understand like that works, that doesn't work. It
Yeah. Yeah.
worked for me, but then again, I did that fast, which wasn't the smartest thing to do. I also wasn't drinking a lot of water during that fast.
Yeah.
So it was funny as shit because it's like
Damn.
when I went back to life, I messed myself up even worse because I wasn't doing the things. Now got myself on the program, whole lot fucking better, have energy, don't feel like I'm dying 24/7 from
Yeah.
not eating enough and not having the proper macros I needed.
So did you do a 10-day fast completely? No food?
Yeah, 10-day fast, just
Wow.
water.
How was that? How did you feel and what were the challenges?
So I did it from December 21st to 31st of December. So
Yeah.
straight through Christmas. My wife made fucking pozole. I was eating that shit in front of me. Um, Honestly, it's a whole lot easier than people think. I
Oh,
was talking to one
wow.
of my buddies about it because he's gonna do a 21 day and then he had to tap out at 6 days because he was feeling terrible. And he kind of asked me that, like, oh, did you feel terrible? And I'm like, again, I'm not an average person. So for
Yeah,
me, I just take everything to the extreme every single time. So
that's
in
true.
my head, like I knew I didn't feel well, but I was like, I'd rather fucking die than to give up or to see me
Finish it.
tap out. So
Right.
in my head, I had this vision that if I'm not in the hospital with fucking IVs in my arm, then there ain't no quitting. So that's kind of like my logic behind it.
Damn.
Did it get that bad? No, it didn't. I would say like
Ooh,
really the first 96 hours, just like anybody does a 4 day. Um, you're hurting. I would say though, just the work, it was more mentally. I
okay.
work out every day. I love to lift weights. I couldn't lift weights during that because you have no fucking energy. But I
Oh,
did
damn.
do walks. So I do like 10,000 steps. Last 2 days were 20,000. A couple of those days I did more 20,000. It's
Right.
just with the kids, taking care of the wife, it gets fucking tough. But two, you got to know your schedule. So like for
Yeah.
you, it probably wouldn't be the best thing to do a prolonged fast like that because you're on your feet all day,
Yeah,
you're
I'm working.
cutting, you're doing all these fucking things. You need the energy. So that was one thing is like I'm working from home. I could
Yeah.
schedule it on how I want to do my clients. It worked for me on that particular thing. But really, first 96 was hard. Then you really like stop losing the craving of wanting to eat so bad. I
Yeah.
get migraines every day. So that differs for most
Damn.
people because some people don't get migraines. And if you're getting migraines on a long fast like that, it's a problem. So I could have seen that a problem, but I didn't really give a shit because I get migraines every day. So it really was that. Honestly, like Christmas, I didn't really want to eat. My wife was eating the pozole, and then she was like, "Oh, this is so good. It'll be better with you." And really was just like I didn't want to lie to my wife, and then having my wife one have that against me, but two, it's like, how the fuck
Yeah.
am I going to lead my wife to be better if I'm showing her how to lie to people, how to manipulate people?
Yeah, no.
So it was really that, and then once I got to like 7 days, I just really didn't wanna eat anymore. I wanted to keep
Wow.
it up. Honestly, I wanted to once I got to the 9th day, I was like, "I can keep this shit up for 14." I wanted to do it. If it would've been, like, to my birthday, it would've been 14 days, but I cut it at 10 because it went back to that goal. So it was like, "Hey, this isn't helping me get to where I wanna be. This isn't helping my body get to where I wanna be."
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up stopping at 10. Well, excuse me. First, it was supposed to be a 4 day, then it was supposed to be a 7. Then here goes me. Fuck that. I'm doing a 10.
And
Uh,
oh.
so I wanted to keep it up, and then I was gonna do a 21 day in actually March 1st, but that's why I didn't do it. Was like, hey, that's not in alignment with my goals. That's my ego talking. I know I can do it, but I'd say like that was one of the biggest things is like just hearing people on the mindset level, like I
Yeah.
can't do this. This is hard. I also heard the fucking I'm Mexican shit
Yeah.
for the 100th time. So I was just like,
Right, right.
how the fuck are we saying this? And I just got pissed, and again, I went back to that ego. Hey, need to teach from a different light. I just got tired about that because that was the same thing I heard like when I stopped drinking. It's like, Oh, mijo, you don't get it. I'm Mexican. When we grew up, we had parties and we get drunk and it's like, okay, like that's how you fucking were then. How are you now?
Yeah.
So I went through the same thing, like with the fasting. It was like I felt like it was more me trying to prove something than me being the best I can be within that moment.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that. I think I did a 36-hour fast. Yeah, and you feel good
Okay.
after. You just feel good. I mean, I would love to do a 10-day one day, hopefully soon. But um, yeah, man, it's awesome. I think it makes you feel a big accomplishment after. I don't know what it is, if it's a discipline, what it is psychologically. But it's a big accomplishment when you do something like that, like depleting yourself from food. And like, man, it doesn't, I mean, Jesus did that. He depleted himself from food. So uh, yeah, I think it's good. And then some people are going to disagree. I've told my family, told them like I did a 36-hour fast. Like, oh, that's not healthy. I'm like, what am I going to say? I don't know. I'm doing it. Like, I didn't eat anything. They're like, and I told them the time gaps. They're like, oh, well, I'm diabetic. I'm like, well, I'm like, I'm not a doctor, but I think you should do it still, even if you're diabetic. Maybe you can just check your sugar levels throughout the whole day, but I think it'd be good for you. So some people are going to agree, some people aren't. I'm like, all right, well, until I can prove to you that this is good, then it's going to be it. So,
No, that's powerful, bro. Again, it goes into any goal that you're gonna have. There's gonna be opposition behind that, and that was kind of what I went through with the fast. Was like, uh, I only met one person who did longer than that, and then he was locked up while he did that. He was locked up for like
uh,
20 years. Did a 21 day. So I looked up to my boy. I'm like, how the fuck did you do it in prison? And then that's kind of how it started. It was like I could do a 10 day, and then I was gonna do a 21. And that's where I was talking to him. It's like this dude can fucking do it. I can do it. You know what I mean? Because like that's a badass fucking dude. So
damn.
it was funny because that was kind of the one thing. And then one of my buddies is always saying like the reason why life is so hard for us is because we're God walking in the flesh. God couldn't be
Yeah.
here anymore, so it's us doing the things, and that's why shit gets hard. And I realized that for me, it was like, yeah, I can do it. I'm proving myself, but I'm going out of who I am just to fucking prove a thing. And that's why like I cut it after that. Um, but also too, it's like, yeah, that was a great experience. It taught me a lot. But if I would have listened to people who didn't do it, if I would have listened to people who said that, uh, I realized like even in that fast, it's just like everything tests you. You know what I mean? When you put your heart and soul into something, the universe is gonna
Yeah.
tell you why you shouldn't do it just to fuck with you and to teach you, hey, this is what it is. It wasn't even like I wanted to have a cheat meal or whatever. It was more of the integrity type shit where it's like my daughter's eating fucking hot Cheetos. There's a hot Cheeto, just one hot Cheeto on the
Yeah.
counter. There's one M&M on the counter. Like I can eat this shit and no one will know about it.
Yeah.
It was more difficult just to throw that shit away than to just sit there and stare at it. So again, it went into the same thing, kind of like wearing the black t-shirts, bro. I was like, we
Yeah.
got to make sure that we have the whole day set up to where we don't think about this fucking shit.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'd say like that was the thing, integrity. And then it was like even making the kids like eggs. It's like I'm so used to fucking testing it, eating one real quick,
Yeah.
to not do those things. And again, you realize like that's where the power is in the restraint of not doing the shit that you want to do. You start to learn that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something to do with discipline. I think when you practice discipline, that's when you just start getting into this whole new realm, man. Or like a new paradigm, man, like your podcast, brother. Get
Hell
into a
yeah,
new
brother.
paradigm, man.
I mean, it really is that way, and people don't understand that, and that's why I like to talk about it. Is hey, the paradigm way, the way we see life, the way we show up. If you want to win, you're gonna have to do all those things. You're gonna have to switch up, just like we said. Like this whole thing's been about mindset. We could talk business all fucking day, but at the end of the day, it's
Yeah,
all about mindset. You're not all
it
in.
is.
You're not doing the right shit. It doesn't fucking matter. That was one thing I talked about the other day. Is like honestly, it doesn't fucking matter what you do. Doesn't matter the macros. Doesn't matter what you pick if you're not going to be fully invested in it or if you only want to
Right.
do it at your capacity.
Yeah, man. I think what like I always tell people now, like since I had a business, I'm like, okay, if you're not having the personal development, the technical development, you're gonna get stuck. Like you're gonna develop this technical side, this whole freaking time. But if you're not trying to personal develop yourself, then you're gonna lack one or the other. So you gotta have a little bit of both. And then when you have a little bit of both, you're gonna watch yourself get better and do the things that you want to do.
Boom, brother. You said it well there. So we'll wrap it up here.
Yes,
What would you say
sir.
to the previous version of ourselves, brother? We don't know where to start. We just want to align ourselves with our definition of success.
Man, showing up every day as best as you can, and just trying to get better every time and seek for help, seek for more help, and get around the right people, get around like Big Al, Winner's Paradigm here, podcast, like these type of things, get around it, listen to it more, and man, focus on your environment. That's what I gotta
Boom,
say, man.
brother.
Success right there, man.
Huge. And that really capped off the whole episode because that's what we've been talking about. So I appreciate you, my man. Where can people find you if they want to keep up with you? They want to listen to more of your story, bro.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Ricardo Slim 2.0. I'm on there all day, and yeah, I'm working on that. So I'm showing up every day, posting. You're gonna see my content get better and better.
Hell yeah, brother. That's the goal. That's the mission right there. Show up and do the Lord's work. So I appreciate you, my
Right,
man. It was
man.
an immense honor, brother.
Hey, brother, appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.